Hello everyone. This is the first episode where I am going to start discussing what's called a bargaining problem or a cooperative bargaining problem, or also known as a Nash bargaining problem. Well, we call it Nash bargaining problem because the model, the main framework that I'm going to discuss in these episodes are first analyzed and introduced by John Nash. Remember, the guy who came up with the idea of Nash equilibrium. So a bargaining problem, or the Nash bargaining problem, is actually his first contribution to economic theory. It was in fact his master thesis in 1950, published in 1950 in Econometrica. And what he basically does is analyzing a bargaining problem or game from a cooperative perspective. So instead of, remember the Rubinstein's alternating over bargaining game, where we specifically describe a game tree, like one player makes an offer and then the second player accepts or rejects the offer, and if he accepts, the game is over. If he rejects, well, then the game moves to the next period where another player makes an offer, etc. So it's a non-cooperative approach because we describe what the game should look like. However, in the cooperative approach to bargaining theory, we don't describe what the game would look like if players are negotiating over some problem. Well, how do we sort of approach then? Well, this is exactly what I'm going to introduce. So let me start with some basics, all right? What constitutes a bargaining problem? And then I'm going to go over a very simple example. All right, well, first off, we need a set of players, right? Set of negotiators, at least two. Well, we're going to denote or use the notation N, the standard notation. This is the set of players, at least two players or at least two negotiators, but it could be more than two players, right? I mean, sometimes, some negotiations include more than two players. For example, if it is, a union versus a firm wage negotiations, well then workers, well yes, a worker is a group of people, but they're multiple parties, and then the firm managers are also the second, and then maybe another player could be a mediator, could be somebody else, all right? So there might be, or if it is sort of a public dispute, for example, the government is planning to build an oil pipeline from Alaska to California, and so there's a huge territory where this pipeline is going to go across, and so all the people living in this sort of potential line, and the government officials, and so there are multiple sort of sides into the negotiation problem. All right, well. So again, the set of players, at least two individuals or negotiators. Well, the second most important thing is obviously the payoff profile. So this is where the abstraction starts. So the set of, so we're going to denote it by S. All right, well, it's going to be a subset of Rn. So Rn is basically, a set of vectors of reals, n-dimensional vector space. All right, and each component is just a vector. So if, for example, x is in S, all right, which is a subset of Rn, well, that basically means x is a vector. It has how many? N many components, all right? And so x1 basically corresponds to player 1, x2 corresponds to payoff of player 2, xn corresponds to payoff of player n, etc. Or utility of player 1, utility of player 2, etc. All right, so these are feasible payoff profiles, all right? Well, why do we call them feasible? Well, because depending on the bargaining problem, some payoff profiles may be out of question, all right? So again, I'll talk about some examples and so how we construct this set, so it's important. Well, what else? The third important ingredient is D. D is again a vector. It's an element in Rn. We call it disagreement point. All right. So what happens? So again, these are all coming from the Nash's original model. He says, well, what if the negotiations fail? Meaning the parties cannot agree upon something. Well, then what's going to happen? Well, whatever the status quo is, that is going to be implemented. All right. So, for example, again, I will give some examples, and so hopefully it's going to be clear. But again, this is a disagreement point is nothing but a vector, a payoff vector, indicating, again, it's D1, D2, it's an n-dimensional, right? Because we have n many players, it's an n-dimensional vector, which basically describes what is going to be the utility of player 1 in case of the disagreement, utility of player 2 in case of disagreement, and so on. All right, well, well, let's talk about it later. I need one important remark. So any x in this set S is called alternative or agreement, all right? So we denote a cooperative bargaining problem by this tuple, all right, S and D. So remember, S is the feasible payoff profile and D is the disagreement point. So together with the feasible payoff profiles, set of payoff profiles and the disagreement point, it basically defines a bargaining problem. And we usually assume that this bargaining problem satisfies these two properties. They're not too strong, but they are technically very helpful and useful. Well, the first one is that the set of feasible payoffs, payoff profiles, S, is convex. So it has a nice shape. It has a smooth surface in a sense, all right? It doesn't have a weird shape. Convexity is very handy whenever we make some sort of an optimization. All right, so it's convex. Again, another handy assumption when we make maximizations or optimizations, closed, the set must be closed, and it's bounded. Well, given that the payoff profile, the feasible payoff profile S, the set of feasible payoff profiles S is a subset of Rn, closed and the bounded set means it's compact. For those who don't know or who don't remember those definitions, please go back to my math review lectures and just review those notions. They're not extremely complicated. Well, again, convexity, although it's important for optimization problems, it basically means the following. If two alternatives are potentially feasible, well, any combination of these two alternatives or any lottery over these two alternatives are also feasible. That's why we need convexity, right? Closed boundedness makes sense, right? I mean, you don't have like infinite amount of payoffs. You have to have some boundary. So if you were looking for a max point, well, it has to be, it's more like a boundedness, but we do not have a sort of an infinity, okay? So it's like, it's bounded. It's bounded by some boundaries. And the closeness is, again, it means the boundaries are included in the set. And we need this, again, I talk about all these assumptions or sort of properties in math reviews, but closeness is very, very useful when we make optimization problems. Okay? Well, the second important assumption is that the disagreement point is also a feasible payoff profile. All right? I mean, it's part of the bargaining problem, and so we put it in the set of feasible payoff profiles. And then there should at least another alternative, X, which is different than D, and in fact, it's better than D. Okay? Well, why is that so? Well, I mean, that basically means if there is no such X, that means the bargaining problem is not really a problem because there's only one sort of alternative, one feasible alternative to this problem, which is D itself. So therefore, we should have at least one another alternative, which gives higher utility to all the agents. So here, this X greater than D, don't forget, these are not real numbers because we have n players, so both of them are vectors. So F greater than, strictly greater than D means Xi strictly greater than Di for every I in n. Okay, so that's very important. When we say x is greater than or equal to d, again, this is a vector, it basically means xi greater than or equal to di for every I. Okay, so that's how we define greater than sign for vectors. Okay, so now let's talk about an example.